Hi everybody, Dr. Bob Vaughn, and I'm here today talking about routine. So the reason we're here today talking about routine is it's really important to make sure that you have a routine. Now, in my line of work as a chiropractor, we do the rehab, things like that. A lot of times I hear from patients, oh, I didn't have time to do my stretches. I didn't have time to do my rehab. I didn't have time to prep food, so I bought some fast food. I mean, honestly, a lot of excuses. And I'm not going to pretend like I haven't made those excuses as well. But when you have a routine, it becomes a habit. When it becomes habit, it's just what you do, and then it seems to get done. And a lot of that comes down to priority. We've heard this a bunch of times. It's on t-shirts and posters, but everybody has the exact same 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in a year. Why is it that some people seem like they can get so much done and others feel like they can't get anything done, or they're just stressed and they're frazzled? And a lot of that comes down to routine and priority. So today, that's what we really want to discuss. So how do you go about breaking in your day or starting off what's important to you? Well, one thing to keep in mind first is kind of break your day up into 3 segments. So you have your morning routine, which is basically from when you wake up in the morning to when you start work. You have your daily routine from when you are at work, basically, or the midday. And then you have your evening routine, which is basically from when you get home or leave work to when you go to bed. And what you need is you need to prioritize that. So what are the things that are important? And Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, has a great reference for this, but they have the 4 quadrants, right? So there's things that are either emergencies or they're urgent. So there are things that are emergencies and that are urgent. Those go in quadrant 1. Those are really important. That's the stuff that you have to get done. Those are the fires that people are running, right? There are things that are important but not urgent. There are things that are urgent and unimportant. Those are things you should just completely cut out, like Facebook and social media, cruising our phones, watching mindless TV, things like that. And then there are things that are urgent, that are emergent and unimportant with that. So you want to make sure you're looking at all 4 of those quadrants, and that's where you get most time every day. Those people who get all this stuff done are like, oh my God, how do they do that? They basically eliminate quadrants 3 and 4. The things that are unimportant, whether they're emergencies that are unimportant or they're not emergencies that are unimportant, they just delete those. And basically they just double their time, just like that. So how do you do that? So basically you just write down a whole list of things that you're stressed out about or that you have to get done. If you're looking at stress, which too, once you have that list, is you take out a big red marker and you draw a big fat red line through every one of those things that is actually outside of your control. So if you're worried about if it's going to rain today or not, for example, you don't control that, so you have to cross that off your list, and it makes no sense to take time worrying about that or stressing out about that. Also, how do you prioritize it? By what are your core values? What is it? Sit down and think about what is most important to you. Is it your family? Is it your career? Is it your faith? Is it whatever it is? That's what's important to you, and that's what's going to fill your cup. So those are things that are really important to put into your morning routine. Making sure you're doing some daily reading in the morning, making sure you're getting your exercise in, doing the food prep for the day. That type of stuff is going to help set you up for a successful day. Scheduling out your day. I was talking to my wife, and we're trying to have more quality time together. I'm like, well, let's schedule something. And she kind of looked at me funny. And it's like, well, I mean, it's important, so schedule it. And then we schedule it. And people look at me funny when I say, yeah, we schedule some time to make sure we have that together. They're like, huh? It's like, well, if you don't schedule it, it gets pushed away. And that's that quadrant 2, which is important but not urgent. Those are the things you put off. Your exercise, eating right, time with a spouse, things like that. Oh, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. And those are the things that you are extremely important that you get into your routine. So really just sitting down, taking a look at what's truly important to you, right? If your family is one of your key values, and as an employer, like, why would you stay 2 hours late killing yourself somewhere at a job that, if your position wasn't available, they would let you go in a heartbeat, right? They like you, you do a good job, but if that position wasn't putting out money and things like that, they would have no, well, she's in a family, they got this, they got that. They would let you go. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. But why are you killing yourself and taking away from what your key value is? You want to make sure that you're setting that up. When you do that and you focus in and you fill your cup and you get the things that you need right away, you're going to be more productive during those 8 to 9 business hours, and you'll get the stuff done that you were having to stay later for. Scheduling out your day, there are a lot of different tools for that, but scheduling out your day makes sense. I'm going to make all my calls during this block. Because once you're already in the phone call mood, it's a lot easier to make phone calls as opposed to, I'll do a call here, I'll do a call here. And then you do all this wasting time stuff where like, well, I got to get my numbers together, for example, with that. So you got to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and maximizing the time. Also, once you think about it as priority, a lot of things, exercise is a huge one, and eating right is another huge one that people put off. I didn't have time. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time someone told me they didn't have time for something, I would have a lot of nickels. But it's really more priority, because if you think of it this way, for example, I have children, and if someone put a gun to my kid's head and told me if I didn't eat right and exercise for the next week that they would pull the trigger, I'm pretty sure I'd find a way to eat right and exercise. So it's not that I don't have time, it's a priority thing. So, and that seems a bit extreme for people, but that just goes to show it is more about priority and what's important to you, as opposed to not having enough time. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Make sure you go out there, get your day scheduled, block that off, your morning routine, your midday, your work routine, and your evening routine. And you're never going to necessarily hit 100% on every single one of them, but if you're intentionally focused on that, the quality of your day, the time, your relationships, all that stuff's going to get so much better, and you're going to find that you're going to be much more productive. You're going to be able to get those things in before that you didn't have time for, and you'll find things that just kind of fall off to the side, like watching TV and a lot of that other stuff that you're like, need to unwind. You won't need to unwind as much because you'll be filling your cup up in the morning, and you'll be really relaxed, and things will be much better with that. So Dr. Bob Vaughn, I hope you guys found that helpful. Again, feel free to follow, like, and share this. We want to get the word out to as many people as possible with this, and really helping us complete our mission of making the world a better place by making health simple, easy, and fun, and creating a world free of chronic pain and chronic illness. So you guys have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you next week.